Previously on Bonnet was aliens.
Granville has lost his smile. So today I'm staging an intervention. It's rumoured that this island is haunted. The countries at war would use privateers to engage in maritime warfare under commission.
Pirates!
Benjamin Hornigold arrived in Nassau. Nassau was proclaimed the privateers, or pirates, republic. In 1716, Edward was first reported to be amongst Hornigold's band of merry men. Today your words are horny, gold, and useful. Nassau became an open-air Las Vegas. Steed fought F this and left his wife and 3 kids for the seas. Steed's battered and unknown ship would drift into Nassau. Someone was watching. Edward, aka Blackbeard. Blackbeard now had a flagship to strike fear into all and the crew to manage it.
Lit their asses up.
Blackbeard's men were rumoured to be suffering from venereal disease. Straight up the bum. Blackbeard performed a blockade.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
And welcome to Bonnet was aliens! The extraterrestrial comedy podcast hosted by me, Kev, and my co-host, taking a backseat this week, Granville Moonwalker. We take it in turns each week to probe an extraterrestrial or paranormal tale, and usually the co-host has no idea what's coming up, but this episode we are continuing our exploration into perhaps the most famous pirate of all, Blackbeard. This week we will conclude Blackbeard's tale and discover what's going on in Blackbeard's hole. So if you haven't already, go and listen to the previous episode and come back here when you're done. Granville, are you ready to enter Blackbeard's hole?
Yes. Drop me in.
Okay, just got a little picture of Blackbeard there to remind you what it looks like before we get cracking.
Okay, so this time we have a full... What do you call that? A full portrait?
Well, you can see his full body.
Yeah,
I've got no better terminology to go for.
Full body picture of Blackbeard here. He seems to have a oar in his hand, leaning on it.
Good point. I looked at that and assumed it was a rifle, but no, it does look like an oar, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Still got smoke coming from his hair. Good touch. He looks much more menacing in this picture than the other one. He's got 2 belts with a wave of guns on them.
Yeah, he was known to wear this, I forget what the type of holster is called, but with 3 guns on it.
There's way more than 3 there. So you've got 3
I think
guns.
That's a sword, 2 swords and 3 guns.
You got 3 guns going down the chest.
Yeah.
Got a sword
on the right. Sorry, on our right.
Yeah, our right, here's the left. Then on the other side, you've got 2 more guns.
They do look like pistols. Either way, intimidating as hell when you see that coming towards you.
Looks quite regal though. In his posture.
Yeah. He's a
nice jacket.
A man of his age.
Doesn't have pirate boots like I expected though. I expected proper pirate boots.
A lot of
black jacket.
A lot of what we expect comes from Treasure Island.
Not gonna lie, it looks cool as fuck though. I'd rather my pirates look like that.
We left Blackbeard having left South Carolina after performing a blockade of the port of Charlestown for 6 days, demanding medication for ransom. Whilst in Charlestown, Blackbeard heard more of the King's pardon, but also of man-of-war ships, pirate destroyers being sent to deal with all who refuse the King's pardon. With that knowledge, Blackbeard set off to seek pardons in North Carolina. Now, it's not definitively known whether this was an accident or a planned move to reduce his crew and gain some anonymity, but at Beaufort Inlet off the Carolina coast, the Queen Anne's Revenge, travelling at the back of Blackbeard's fleet behind Steed's Revenge and 2 sloops, ran aground. The flagship, which everybody knew for miles, was destroyed. Another sloop from the fleet tried to save the Queen and also went down. Steed's crew, later standing trial, would testify that Blackbeard did this on purpose. But let's continue. With Blackbeard's crew transported onto Steed's ship to plan how to proceed, Blackbeard convinced Steed to head in alone first to seek the pirates' pardon for the whole crew. Pardons could be granted by any governor, so Steed sought out Charles Eden of North Carolina. Blackbeard gave Steed back the revenge for completing this task, but obviously you can't take a boat on land, so the ship would have to wait for Steed. Blackbeard would wait it out on the adventure.
The only thing I can think of as to why he would do that on purpose was to stop a mutiny and those ships turning on him.
Maybe he was getting fed up with his crew. Maybe they weren't making enough money and he didn't want to share it. He needed less people to make it profitable, and he didn't need all the ships to capture the ships he was capturing.
Or he had a bigger plan here.
Right.
And it was destroy those ships. They hear that Queen Anne's revenge is done for. The other ship coming in is done for, or the one that went to save her is done for. They look less of a threat. So they go in, they ask for their pardon. What do they try and do next? They try and capture the man of wars. They take those.
They take it up a notch.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen here. And he sends in old Steed,
your family member,
just to check the scene, see what's going on. If Steed doesn't come back alive, he knows shit is fucked up. But he trusts Steed as well. Like, one of the other pirates may have gone, we've come in for the pardon, but we can give you Blackbeard.
Oh, God, yeah, imagine that.
Whereas
that's a really good point.
Steed isn't going to turn his back on Blackbeard. The amount of times that Blackbeard has saved his ass, brought him back in, taught him more. So I think this is a plan to get the old MOWs.
Interesting theory. No, I can
the
see.
Mau Maus.
While Steed was away,
I am fucking in, son.
Blackbeard boarded the Revenge and stripped the ship of all valuables. This probably included what could be salvaged from the boats that sank. Blackbeard then marooned about 25 of Steed's loyal crew from the Revenge on a sandbank nearby and departed on the adventure with only his most trusted crew.
God damn you, Blackbeard.
60 black men and 40 white men. It was a double cross, baby! Steed returned with his pardon and the few men whom accompanied him to discover the double cross. Steed hopped back aboard the plundered Revenge and set off in pursuit of Blackbeard. Steed discovered his stranded crew on a sandbar a few miles away en route out of North Carolina. Blackbeard had left them on the path he knew Steed would follow. Steed would continue to search for Blackbeard as he returned to piracy despite the pardon, but the two would never meet again.
Motherfucker.
Blackbeard's absolutely
he's a pirate,
had him.
isn't he? He's a
Never
pirate.
trust a pirate, son. Never trust a pirate.
And to be fair, that's the one thing Steed should have known.
Steed was a career failure as well.
Yeah.
But what occurred to me as I was going over that bit is that because he sent Steed to get his pardon, technically if Steed then goes after him, is he returned to piracy? He's buggering himself, isn't he? If he
Or
if he goes and causes a mutiny, he's a pirate again.
is he going, if he goes and downs Blackbeard,
Is he a hero?
yeah,
Well,
pirate that killed Blackbeard.
as I said, Steed did return to piracy anyway, so and people who accepted the pardon then returned to piracy were looked down upon real bad. There weren't no coming back.
No.
Like, you could try and argue your way out of it the first time, but if you were captured again after accepting that pardon, hoo. But yeah, maybe Blackbeard got fed up with Steed being shit. That's another possibility. He's been
Gave him so many chances and he just couldn't pirate.
Blackbeard pursued his own king's pardon and accepted his pardon from that same Governor Eden in June 1718. Blackbeard settled in nearby Bath, even marrying a lady as he was no longer a pirate. Or was he? Blackbeard would regularly travel between this home and his secret hideout on Ocracoke Inlet between July and August 1718. Blackbeard was still plundering. The governor of Pennsylvania got wind of this and issued a warrant for Blackbeard. Blackbeard was in Delaware Bay by this point, where he captured another 2 French ships, sailing one back to Ocracoke. Blackbeard told Governor Eden that he had found the ships unmanned in the seas, so they were fair game. Court agreed, the ships were deserted at sea, and the loot was split between Governor Eden, the judge Tobias Knight, and Blackbeard. Then, on Ocracoke, another famous pirate, Charles Vane, who was fleeing from our old pal and now pirate hunter, Benjamin Hornigold, visited Blackbeard, where a party was held. Vane told Blackbeard that Nassau had fallen. Blackbeard had a new home now, so wasn't interested in joining Vane in trying to recapture Nassau. You did say earlier on about Hornigold becoming a pirate hunter. That's exactly what happened.
Brought into the fold, his knowledge of pirates. Go out and fuck them up.
Very patriotic, so perfect candidate for it, yeah.
He left the English ships alone, so they were like, he ain't gonna fuck us up. So did he go full circle on Steed and just go back to the governor?
He just went straight back to the same place and Steed couldn't figure out where he was. Steed had literally just been there to get his own pardon, didn't think that Blackbeard was still going for that pardon, and went off out. Good old Steed. The simple gentleman's pirate.
You're gonna have to look at Steed's family tree. They had a party. Is this
the pirates' party to end all parties?
I mean, is it a party in the sense of what we think a party is?
Whoop, whoop.
Or
alcohol, food, probably wenches.
Or is it more of a party as in
is that what they were calling them back then?
Like
or
a small
sex workers, essentially?
Gathering.
Well, you've got
political party, they had a party.
So from Ocracoke Island, some of the crew would regularly sail inland into the Carolinas.
And tear shit up.
But obviously this was their hideout, so you'd have at least a skeleton crew, if not the full crew, on Ocracoke. Plus, Vane had just turned up with his whole crew, obviously, so it's probably quite a big party. Pirate party!
They tore shit up.
Yeah, and think what Nassau was like. Open air Las Vegas. Hookers and beer, son. Basically, grog.
Hookers and beer,
sex.
baby! Good time for a pirate.
Good time. Alexander Spotswood, the governor of Virginia, made a proclamation on the 10th of July 1718 that pirates couldn't hang around in groups and had to hand over their weapons. While some governors, such as Eden, were autonomous, they couldn't stop military action breaching their borders. Spotswood, who may have been a little corrupt, begun seeking information on Blackbeard and personally financed an operation to capture or kill the legendary pirate. Royal Navy Lieutenant Robert Maynard and his men of the nearby HMS Pearl were hired, along with more men from the nearby HMS Lyme. The group were dispatched in 2 sloops, the Ranger with 24 men and the Jane with 33. Due to the shallow waters, these smaller sloops had to be used, and they had no cannons, meaning that Maynard was relying upon close quarters combat.
So if they come up, if these pirate ships see them from a distance, you don't fucked up, son.
Basically. It couldn't be known whether Blackbeard was at his home in Bath or on Ocracoke, so the gang split up with an armed contingent going via horseback to Bath and the other 60 in the 2 sloops provided by Spotswood. While Spotswood had no legal right to order the execution of Blackbeard, on the morning of November the 21st, 1718, as Blackbeard and his skeleton crew were literally recovering from a party on Ocracoke, the Battle of Ocracoke Ocracoke Inlet was about to take place. Another pirate party. I don't know how long I've been saying Ocracoke for, but
I didn't
Crow's
even twig.
Cock.
Didn't even twig.
Apologies for our pronunciations as always, and by ours I mean mainly me. Ocracoke.
Tell you what,
Sounds like a Zelda enemy.
a battle would surely sober you up quickly, wouldn't it?
Well, you say that. I mean, in some senses, yes, but you can't rush the effects of alcohol.
That's true.
You might be thinking, shit, I've got a line shot. In fact, you might be thinking you're sober, overly brave. Sod these fools. Put yourself in the cannon.
I think that's-
Sea of Thieves style. Fire yourself over into their ship, board them. Hit them with your blunder.
I think there's two things that are happening here. Oh, that reminds me. Is Sea of Thieves on?
Game Pass?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's my favourite game. Freaking love it. So funny. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Right, back to the pro. There's two things that are happening here. Either you are sobering up pretty fucking quickly,
Yeah.
or you are feeling those effects and you are puking your guts up. Every time
Just
you try-
like that.
Every time you try and move.
Sea of Thieves style. Granville just throws up grog in my face.
Projectile. He doesn't want pirates in groups, old Spotswood. Do you reckon that's because they're more trouble to deal? I wouldn't say more trouble to deal with, but you can't fuck up a group of pirates. Pirate on their own, they're easier to deal
Yeah,
with.
I'd say that. Plus, once they get in a group, if they're on
They
land,
get rowdy.
and it's not long before they think, let's go get a boat.
Yeah.
And then the pirates are back on
They
the
get
seas.
piratey.
Yeah.
I take it we're about to get into the Battle of
We are.
Ocracoke,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I won't ask how long it lasted.
No, we'll cover this in detail.
Cool.
As Maynard approached, Maynard was spotted immediately as the Jane and then the Ranger temporarily grounded. Blackbeard roused the adventure crew before opening fire, broadsiding the Ranger. 9 were killed. Maynard's sloop, the Jane, moved in closer, and Maynard and Blackbeard engaged in a brief shouting match. Blackbeard damned Maynard and crew. If you're interested, you can literally look up what they shouted at each other, but basically it's, damn you! I'm not boarding you! You little bitch! Blackbeard was said to then blow nearly a third of Maynard's men away with a broadside. 21 of Maynard's men on Jane were killed or wounded. Meanwhile, one of Blackbeard's sail ropes, or halyards, had been hit by a musket ball whilst the ships were close, and the sail dropped, slowing the pirate down. Seeing that Maynard's men were depleted, and with the sail impeding escape anyway, Blackbeard saw victory and ordered his men to board the Ranger. Once on board, more of Maynard's men who had been hiding came from below deck and swarmed the pirates in hand-to-hand mortal combat. Mortal Kombat! The deck was soaked in blood as the battle raged. Blackbeard locked swords with Maynard. Blackbeard managed to cut Maynard's sword off at the hilt, and as he moved in for the kill, another of Maynard's men, reportedly a Scottish Highlander, suddenly slit Blackbeard's neck from behind as he yelled, "There can be only one!" Blackbeard is said to have said, "Well done, lad," as Maynard then shot Blackbeard and the Highlander sliced further. Blackbeard died. The Ranger caught up to overwhelm Blackbeard's remaining men. 9 were captured and the rest were killed. As Maynard's men examined Blackbeard's dead body, it was noted that Blackbeard had been shot 5 times and had 20 sword cuts, so Blackbeard had possibly already been shot 4 times before engaging with Maynard, but kept on going and even cut his sword in half, so he had the victory in his hands. Pirate! Correspondence with Judge Knight was found on Blackbeard's body before they severed Blackbeard's head. Blackbeard's head was then attached to the bow of the Adventure, which Maynard sailed back, while Blackbeard's body was flung overboard the Jane into the waters below. The body was said to swim around the Jane 3 times before sinking to the bottom of the waters. You can't put Blackbeard away, son. His spirit's strong. Swimming around the boat even though he's dead.
It's fuck. It's one of those moments where it's like, you want the pirate to win?
Yeah. Even though he's a bad guy, it feels like they've done him dirty somehow. And this is the only report of him killing people.
I mean, to be fair, he never killed anyone.
Never killed anyone till the final battle.
And he was shot 5 times.
Yeah, 5 bullet wounds.
Now, was he shot again after he'd already died, or...?
So, obviously we can't tell for definite, but the report suggests that he was shot that one time by Maynard after his neck was already slit. So that would indicate that he was shot 4 times before, but... And again, this is 1700s. Guns wouldn't have been as quick as they are today, but who knows, really?
Tell you what, Maynard better not have taken credit for the kill of Blackbeard, because...
You know he did.
You know he would have been fucked up if not for that other... Like,
I mean, he probably would have died anyway, but Maynard fired that kill shot.
Yeah, but Maynard would have been dead.
Yeah, that's...
So...
And there's I've just included the famous depiction of the battle as well. This is artwork of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent.
It is pretty decent.
I would happily hang that on my wall.
I would happily have Blackbeard's jacket. He is sporting a velvet, either dark purple or red jacket. Typical pirate style. He's got his guns on him.
So
his pirate hat. He's got a bandana on. Black beard. Black hair. Looks like
you can see half of Maynard's sword on the floor in it even.
You can. I mean, I wouldn't have his pirate boots, but at that point...
Not to keep rabbiting on about Sea of Thieves, but I've got a jacket just like that in Sea of Thieves, yet I choose to wear a pirate legend dress.
Says a lot about Greybeard.
And a cool hat.
We also have the picture of the person slitting his throat from behind. Now, we know for a fact that if Greybeard was privy to the fact that person was behind him, none of this bullshit would have gone down.
You just called him Greybeard.
Didn't I?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'd have ducked that.
I'll take that back. If this would have happened to Blackbeard, that's because I've said Greybeard.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'd have probably been one-shotted. I'd have just been on the floor, half naked with my monkey pet. But I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Have you noticed in these scenarios, whenever the captain dies, everyone else gets easily overrun?
Well, to be fair, they were outnumbered by this point anyway, but I take your point. It's like your captain's gone, your strength has gone, you're like, nah.
Yeah, I mean...
There's been...
I'd fight to be captain.
Is it the Battle of Hastings, 1066? There's loads of historical battles like that. The king dies and they're done.
Yeah.
Or the proposed king.
I mean, I'm battling on. I might die, but...
Then you'll swim around the boat 3 times. Hop back on board.
I'm going to curse them every time they write. Kevin's a prick.
One question. If this was your fate, would you want to live on and no one ever hears about you? Or would you accept this battle and death in exchange for becoming famous, legend?
What do I get by living on?
Nothing.
I'd die famous. Like, if it turned out that I lived quite cushy and, like, had a house and a range, a BMW, Ferrari...
Ferrari! Yes! Not a freaking 1967 Shelby GT.
I'd have that too.
Victory for me today.
But if I had all those at my whim and could do whatever I wanted, then, and no one know of me, I would pick those. But if I was just going out as a old fart on a bed, no one know my name.
Well, to be fair...
I'd take Blackbeard's legacy.
He probably would, had he have survived this and got away, he probably would have had to go into hiding at this point, wouldn't he? You couldn't live that lifestyle anymore after this.
But even...
Like the most famous pirate battle in history.
Even his name would have still rung fear into sailors. Whereas, to be fair, if you hadn't have mentioned this dude whose name I've forgotten, I wouldn't have even known him.
What, Steve Bonnet?
No. The guy
Maynard.
that took the last shot.
Maynard.
Yeah. I mean, he took the last shot that killed Blackbeard, yet
You
very
remember
few
Blackbeard
people
and no one else. Yeah.
know who he is.
Blackbeard's loot, including that in Judge Knight's barn, was eventually used to pay the pirate hunters about 4 years later, and the rest went to the crown. Judge Knight would eventually stand trial for being in collusion and was found guilty, dying not long after. As for Governor Eden, it wasn't proved as to whether he was in cahoots with Blackbeard, and he and Spotswood would feud. Blood feud! Eden even named Spotswood's political opponents as a beneficiary in his own will. This all led to the end of Spotswood's political career, and he lost his position in 1722.
Eden wins.
Basically, so Spotswood has gone after Blackbeard, invaded someone else's land he has no authority over, and it's sort of soured opinion on him. Mm-hmm. He's done whilst he's obviously gone after a pirate, he's gone about it in a corrupt way.
So so Blackbeard, is a pirate,
Taking you a while to get there.
takes his plunder.
Yeah,
So the crown,
indeed.
after he's dead, takes his plunder. Piracy.
They're all pirates.
They're all pirates.
They're all pirates. I've got to say, we've covered pirates for nearly 2 whole episodes at this point, and we've done barely any pirate accents. That's really surprising, considering we usually can't help ourselves with accents.
Savvy.
Teacher's Hole, then. As both a spot close to his death and a favoured anchoring position in life, it is said that Blackbeard's ghost still haunts Teacher's Hole to this day. Many have seen a strange light moving beneath the water, known as Teacher's Light. Some believe that this is Blackbeard's spirit. Others believe that this is Blackbeard's body, perhaps holding a lantern in search of Blackbeard's missing head. Sometimes the headless ghost of Blackbeard floats on the surface of the water. Some state that they have seen the spirit rise out of the water holding a lantern as Blackbeard steps onto land. His boots leave no footprints. On stormy nights, some say that you can hear Blackbeard roaring into the wind.
That's proper old timey pirate story, that, isn't it?
Pirate ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
Yarr.
Yeah.
Blackbeard's name appears to have been Thatch rather than Teach, so I'm referring to this place as Blackbeard's Hole, not Teacher's Hole. Nearby, there is also said to be a ship that chases other ships out of Topsail Island, another of the islands off North Carolina. This ship is only visible on radar. When Topsail resident Chris Rackley was about 12 years old, his dad took him out on a fishing trip. As they passed by the inlet, Chris's father noticed something on radar. A ship was following them. Chris and his dad turned port and starboard, but the coast was completely clear. The radar blip of a ship continued to follow for a time before turning around and disappearing from radar, back to the spectral plane. Woo! Savvy.
Wow.
I took a long time to get there.
Chris better start believing in ghost stories.
He's in one.
What was I going to say? There was something I was going to mention. Fucking forgot what it was.
Usually I cut it out when we dwell, but I might leave that in.
It's really buggered me.
Buggered you?
I can't remember what it was.
Imagine being a ghost and you don't realise you're a ghost and you try and chase ships down, but you try and board and you just can't. You go through them.
Isn't that what happens with most ghosts, though? They don't realise that they are ghosts.
Possibly.
They just carry on, like, trying to live their life or their day.
I mean, you tell me, because I'm not really a big believer in them.
Well, depending on,
Apart from this one.
like, I think some know they are ghosts, and others
Sixth
are
Sense
unaware.
style. Yeah. No spoilers.
Like in the film Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Forgot his name now.
A hunger.
Because he doesn't realise he's dead. And then he meets that ghost on the subway who knows he's
Who
dead.
teaches him to...
Teaches him how to move things.
Best part of the film.
Like, that bit. That guy knows he's a ghost.
Yeah.
And the other one doesn't. So, I don't know.
Do you reckon Blackbeard knows he's a ghost and he's just doing it to mess with people?
Possibly.
Just having a laugh with the boys? Everyone who died in this battle's on that boat with him and he's just chasing ships to pass the time.
I mean, they're like,
Laughing his
well,
ass off.
we can't do anything else.
Yeah.
He can't even talk. Do you reckon he signs? He's learned sign language.
That means sex in sign language. That's not sign language, that's just calling me a wanker.
You knew what it meant.
One of the primary sources for all this information is Charles Johnson's book, A General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates, published in 1724, so shortly after this. Johnson was a pseudonym. Nobody knows who the author really was, but this book sold huge and told us nearly all we know about pirates outside of ancient government documents, old newspapers and prison records. The first question then is, how reliable is this source? The Queen Anne's Revenge wreckage was found in November 1996 and recovered items included a dick syringe containing traces of mercury. Blackbeard is referred to in newspapers and documentation of the day carrying out his piratical deeds. The question is then, was Blackbeard's life and death sufficient to leave his ghost behind? What business did Blackbeard leave unfinished?
I don't know if he did leave any business unfinished.
Well, he was killed for a start.
Yeah, but I mean, when he initially had his next slut?
Well, actually, on that note,
His next slit.
that I didn't include this in my research notes, but there are stories about Blackbeard letting all the boys have a turn on his wife, but it seems to be slander. There wasn't any sort of factual basis. It just seems to have started. So I've only included the stuff that kind of can be verified in the historical books and records.
There it is, well done. I was going to say, when he had his throat slit, cut and slit came into my head, he did say well done.
Well done, lad.
So kind of
Last words.
Yeah, last words. I know I'm
Got
done.
me, you fucker.
But maybe after he was shot, afterwards he was like, you motherfucker.
I just didn't write that bit down.
Yeah. He was like, I've already had my throat slit.
Oh.
You motherfucker.
Or they wanted it to be like romantic, so they didn't include the bit he said after, "Oh, shit myself! Down me leg!"
So he's come back to...
What?
Or maybe he thought, right, you've killed me. Fair play. I'm done. Right, now you've cut my fucking head off, you cunt. Now I'm coming for you.
Now he wants that head back.
Yep.
That's the unfinished
That's
business.
the unfinished business.
So again, I didn't include this in the notes, but once they sailed back, the head was kept, I think, on a pike outside the governor's home for a while, or outside the town gates, one or the other, something like that. But then it gradually disappeared into history, and no one knows what happened to the skull. So could have been thrown in the bin, buried, stolen, anything. No one knows. It's just been vanished.
I mean, I would have thought it would have probably been written about if it just was stolen, rather than them doing something with it.
Well, so many hundreds of years ago.
True. Documents lost to time.
Yeah, and again, our modern fascination with pirates kind of came about through Disney's Treasure Island. Sort of, was that the 1950s or something?
Something like that.
So for a long time, people probably didn't really give much of a shit about all this. And why the hell is there a skull there? That's a bit grim. Got rid of it, threw it out.
True.
A big summary is coming up. We've covered Blackbeard's likely English origins as Edward Thatch Jr., a Bristol privateer who allegedly fought in the War of Spanish Succession alongside Benjamin Hornigold before accompanying Hornigold to Nassau in New Providence, a place where former privateers would establish the Pirates' Republic and run riot on merchants and shipping during what is now considered as the golden age of piracy. Once Nassau was up and running, gentleman pirate Steed Bonnet would float in, having attempted to attack a Spanish sloop of war and nearly being killed in the process. Blackbeard would take command of Steed's ship. Hornigold and Blackbeard parted ways, and Hornigold was voted out of command and later retired from piracy to become a pirate hunter. Blackbeard and Steed kept on, capturing and modifying a slaver ship called La Concorde to become the deadly Queen Anne's Revenge. Steed returned to the command of his ship, the Revenge, and the two enjoyed some success together. Blackbeard would amicably part with Steed by 1718. In March 1718, a ship called Protestant Caesar escaped Steed's grasps and the crew returned to Blackbeard requesting Steed's removal as captain. Blackbeard placed one of his crew in charge and alongside capturing more ships, they got the Protestant Caesar. Burn it down, baby! Blackbeard was by this point commanding a fleet that could rival anything the Navy had nearby for power, and Blackbeard was becoming notorious. Next, with his crew said to be unwell and possibly suffering sexy time diseases, Blackbeard would block the port of Charlestown, South Carolina. Not many riches were won, but Blackbeard did acquire medical supplies. Next, Blackbeard headed to North Carolina, and we don't know whether by devious plan or by improvised accident, but the Queen Anne's Revenge ran aground. Blackbeard sent Steed to get a pirate's pardon, and while Steed was off, Blackbeard marooned Steed's loyalists and took one sloop, downsizing. Steed and Blackbeard would never meet again, as Blackbeard accepted a pardon in North Carolina and pretended to reform, whilst really still pirating and bringing riches into Carolina. Blackbeard wasn't just a name. Blackbeard had a huge black beard and was reported to light live fuses to give off some kind of demonic impression as if he was straight from the pits of hell. Blackbeard appears to have captured many vessels through fear alone. As outlined in Jamaican archives, Blackbeard didn't use violence, and there is not a single report of Blackbeard killing a man until his final fateful battle with the Navy. After receiving the pardon, settling and even marrying in North Carolina, Virginia Governor Spotswood made a deal with Captain Maynard of the Royal Navy, and shortly after a pirate party between Blackbeard and Charles Vane, Maynard would ambush Blackbeard as he recovered from a party. Not the same party. A battle ensued, and after a vicious broadside, Blackbeard thought the battle was won and boarded Maynard's ship. However, Maynard had hidden men below deck who popped out and surprised Blackbeard. Blackbeard was ultimately killed by Maynard and a Highlander who attacked Blackbeard allegedly truthfully from behind. Blackbeard's head was cut off and put on display. There can only be one! All that brings us to Blackbeard's ghost. Blackbeard's body was dumped overboard and swam around the boat 3 times before sinking out of view. The area of this battle remains haunted to this day, with a ghost ship chasing nearby boats visible on radar. On stormy nights, Blackbeard himself roars into the wind. This is the legend of Blackbeard. Savvy?
I mean, after all this, like we do in any normal probe, we come up with a conclusion.
Indeed.
Now, I have no idea what conclusion you're wanting me to come up with at the end of this, but I'm fucking in.
I'm not wanting anything. You can go whichever way you like.
Pirates, son.
I'll ask you a question in a second.
Edward Thatch, Hornigold, Steed.
I mean, we know all this is true.
Need to delve a bit into Steed's family legacy. I mean, if he has ties with Barbados, you never know. Could be Grandpappy the 17th.
Grandpappy.
Grandpapa! I mean, we've now got a new name for my car. It's gone from Ziggy to Steed's Revenge.
That's definitely a better name. I'm going to give my car a pirate ship name.
I want to create that as a sticker and put it on the back. Steed's Revenge. I can't really think of any... There is one thing I want to cover, actually.
Right.
So what happened to Steed
So...
in the end? Because he never saw Blackbeard again.
He didn't.
So did he just forever chase him?
Not for very
try
long.
and find him?
Very, very, very shortly, we're talking days to weeks after Blackbeard's capture, Steed himself was captured along with his crew and executed.
I mean, Steed could have been an absolute twat for all I know.
One of
but
the
he could have
most
also
famous yet unsuccessful pirates in history. His only success came as part of Blackbeard's fleet, really, didn't
I
it?
mean, essentially, is he not Captain Jack Sparrow?
Well, I'm trying to think of the law they touched on. Was it in the film?
Parlay.
Well, no, he made a deal with Davy Jones, 13 years of pirate captain in exchange for a soul. But then, obviously, he lost the ship as they went for the Aztec
and
coins.
then he'd have to serve
Davy
on his
Jones.
ship.
Yeah. But
really
I
need
can't
to
remember
watch
because I
those
think
again.
he was a privateer for a period. Like they go into his lore over several of the films, don't they? Gradually, but I think he was a privateer himself, and then was sunken and made a deal to come back as captain of the ship. Can't recall how successful he is, but he just liked freedom and adventure, really, didn't he? He was a free spirit. But
Sorry.
we digress.
We do
Are
indeed.
you saying that it was pirates? Well, we know that Blackbeard was real. The question is, are you saying that Blackbeard's ghost remains today? Are you saying that it was spookies?
I am saying
Yar.
that it was pirates. That we know.
That is very clear, yes.
I am saying
They're freaking
That-
awesome.
it was not spookies.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the one time I am willing to go and find out whether or not it is.
You'd be happy to go to Blackbeard's Hole
Yes.
and also stop by and see the wreckage of the Queen Anne's Revenge.
Yes.
Awesome. I'd be up for that.
So while I am not saying it is spookies, I am happy to go and investigate whether or not this is spooky.
I'd just like to add context here. We're recording this episode, as we said before, straight after Mr. Moonwalker's birthday episode. He's got a little bit of Dutch courage going on.
I'm not even
He's
saying
had
this is
several
Dutch courage.
beers and
It's
several
pirates.
shots.
It's pirates, son. I'm in.
He says as he headbutts his microphone.
I didn't even headbutt it. What do you want
I
about?
chinned it, really.
A beard scraped it.
So,
I'm in.
yeah.
I'd go.
I'm not saying that it was spookies, but it was freaking awesome. This one was a lot bigger than planned, to be honest, but it's probably been in my top 3 favourites to research. I found the story fascinating and it's absolutely real. To be honest, though, I just wanted to cover a pirate because I love pirates and I love Sea of Thieves, so I spent quite a lot of time looking for a way to tie it to something paranormal to make it into an episode. Blackbeard's ghost is what I found. Yeah, absolutely love the tale, and I've been reading up on pirates, listening to pirate podcasts. Love it! I'd also just like to add that I am a year 1 pirate legend. Hashtag be more pirate.
Whilst you might be that, I could potentially be a descendant of a real pirate.
Well, so could I. I could be related to Blackbeard for all I know.
Go fuck yourself. No,
He
you're
was-
not.
English? Oh, horny gold.
You're Greybeard.
Any final thoughts before we set sail and
Trying
say
to steal
goodbye?
my pirate thunder.
I ain't stealing nothing. I'm going down and
Looting it.
naming my car Blackbeard's Revenge.
No, none from me. Apart from I want a sticker called Steed's Revenge.
If you can draw the art, then I can make that. But I don't
I mean, you
draw.
say if I can. You know I can.
We'll do it then.
Done. Remind me when I'm sober.
I want one for me as well, please. That's a wrap for today, folks. Thank you for listening to But It Was Aliens. If you've any thoughts or suggestions for a future episode, you can find us on the Twitter. At But It Was Aliens. Meanwhile, if you have paranormal memes or just want a friendly chat about the strange and unusual, look up the But It Was Aliens Facebook page and find the associated Facebook group Extraterrestrial Towers. All friendly, honourable and trustworthy faces are welcome. Don't tell anyone about it though. Also tell everyone. If you're bonkers enough to enjoy the content we put out, there's a little place called patreon.com/But It Was Aliens, where you can get your grubby little mitts on some more. Each month on our patreon.com, we release a bonus episode, a side probe, into a paranormal event where we do exactly what we do here, concluding as to whether or not the event really was paranormal, all for the questionable benefit of humanity. You can support the show for barely more than a cup of coffee, and Granville takes all that money and rolls around in it like Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, the monies.
That's all from us this episode, so until next time, if a medium can contact the spirit world, what can a large do? The truth is up there. #bro.